Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And a very good evening to you and a warm welcome to Newsline Live. The IMF's in the bag. How is Sri Lanka going to cope with the real hard work, or the harder work, with restructuring its debt and looking forward, looking to the forward position? My guest tonight is a man with 29 years of hands-on experience in central banking, and he's of course the governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the 17th governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr NandallalWeerasinghe. Very good evening to you, Dr. Weerasinghe.
Very good evening.
Thank you for coming in. You've only been 11 months in this job.
Yeah.
You came in when we were facing an absolutely severe crisis, and 11 months later, remarkably actually, you've got the IMF in the bag. How easy was it? How come it was so easy? How did you do it?
In fact, for us, if you look at what has happened since April, that after I came in, at the beginning it was very, very challenging. You can remember that period in April, May, June, July. There was a huge political instability, social unrest. People are on the roads, not only they are protesting, they are regular, not only that, but also they are on the streets with no power for 12 hours, 13 hours, long queues of petrol, diesel, no economic activities happening. That was one of the most difficult periods Sri Lanka went through at the beginning. So in terms of economic activity, almost zero. In terms of political stability, there were no governments, changing prime ministers, changing presidents, changing finance ministers. That was the situation to grapple with at the beginning. That was quite challenging. So somehow we started the process. From our side, on Central Bank side, we soon after I took in, we took all the necessary immediate measures from that point onwards, irrespective of the government, whatever the administration, we moved on. At that time, in fact, I had a good idea of what to happen, how to go forward, what are things to do, what are the processes, policies, all these things. But it's not only the central bank job. You need to have a parallel fiscal policy, monetary policy, structural, all these things will have to happen efficiently and effectively and timely manner. But because of all these reasons, those things were not happening as I thought that we would come to some stage of recovery. So my thinking at that point, we would be able to at least get the IMF program unlocked somewhere in December last year. You can remember I was talking about it.
Indeed, yes.
At December last year.
Yeah.
That was the expectation. Even with those difficulties, we were able to reach staff level agreements on 1st of September last year. And even that time, if you look at the inflation, this was spiraling, going up. Currency depreciated a lot. Inflation was going almost like people are talking about hyperinflation, 100%, all these things, talking about, economy collapsing, all these things. Are we able to manage somehow? Inflation peaked in September. After that, we saw the disinflation process. So since we reached staff level agreement in 1st of September, and then from that point onwards to 20th of March, it's about 6-7 months. To me, it's a record time that we were able to unlock the IMF program compared to the situation we were in. For example, if we did not have this debt crisis, if we did not have to restructure debt, from the day that we reached a staff level agreement, it's maximum 1 month, IMF would be able to approve the program.
Right.
But because of this additional complication we had, our debt was not sustainable, and we had to restructure debt. For that purpose, first step was to obtain financing assurance from the creditors. That is the process that took little longer than what I expected at that point. Somehow it was kind of 3 months delay, but still I think compared to some of the countries, those who were engaging in the same process, this is a record time.
Absolutely.
From the staff level agreement reaching, and 20th of March, we were able to unlock the IMF. That is a key milestone But I must give credit not only to central bank, but also to the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Power and Energy, who do other necessary reforms, and it's a collective teamwork.
And did that team work, all of them work together? Did it all fuse together?
Exactly. There are several pillars of this policy. So from the monetary side, we move very fast. We were able to do what we were supposed to do very fast at that point. And that's how we were, even when we reached stuff like September, we already peaked inflation, 70%, then started to come down. But there was a delays in fiscal policy, obviously because of the change in finance minister's government and interim budget, another budget. It's not an easy process on the Minister of Finance side. And again, adjusting other fuel and energy prices took a little longer time than what we thought. So last adjustment was 15th of February, which was supposed to happen 1st of January of this year. And there are several other some kind of reforms, social safety net. There are some delays on the other side because of the difficulties of these reforms. Those are very difficult, painful reforms. Somehow that is why there is some delay. But still, I think timing was relatively fast.
Was it easy for you as, not only as the governor, but as a citizen of Sri Lanka, how difficult was it for you to be aloof from the suffering that you knew as an economist? You knew it's going to be difficult. How easy was it for you, or difficult was it for you, to stand back and say, I know it's difficult, but I have to do this?
No, in fact, I knew it was not going to be easy. It's a difficult journey. Even going forward, it's not that easy. There will be a lot of challenges. I understood the challenges, but I had very good idea of what to happen, how to happen, what would be the program that we had to take it forward. It's the only way. There's no alternative. There's no other solution. This was the only way. That I was pretty confident that this is the path we need to go. It's a matter of getting all together and convincing other partners, stakeholders, to get the cooperation, get them also moving in the same direction, the collective approach and moving forward. I think so. Because of my experience, exposure, understanding, I knew. So I mean, although I knew it was not an easy job. A lot of challenges. Even going forward, there would be some more challenges. But I think I was confident that I would be able to come to this stage. That's why I took this responsibility, took the challenge.
And I'll ask you this, but how difficult was the pressures, the political pressures on you?
Now, when I took over the position, obviously central bank governor position is, even under the current Monetary Law Act, is an independent position. We have sufficient independence in the law if one wants to exercise the independence available in the Act. It's up to the person who would exercise your authority under the law. So when I took the position, I clearly indicated I would be acting as an independent governor, and I know what to do, and please allow me to take right steps, take right decision, and please support me.
So you firmly believed in being, in exercising your independence and being a central banker?
Exactly, yeah. That I know how it works, and I know how it is important for a central banker to exercise its independence also with accountability. Independent doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So you should be exercising your independence with great accountability, that you are accountable to the parliament, accountable to the people of this country, accountable to the market. So they should be able to see the accountability, and they should be able to see the confidence, and they should be able to see we are moving the right path. Otherwise, people won't believe whatever we say.
And what's the total amount of the IMF assistance?
It's around 2.9 billion over a 4-year period.
And how many installments that means?
So 8 installments, half yearly.
And is it, what can you use this for? Is it merely to prop up our books and repay loans, or can we use it for consumption of things like fuel and milk powder and dal and whatever?
This is usually and traditionally IMF basically support only for balance of payment support, what we call build up member countries' foreign reserves. That's why usually IMF lends money to central banks, not to the government. But this time it's a special location for Sri Lanka because we are in a debt crisis. We are finding it difficult to service our debt. This time IMF money is available not only for the central bank to build up our resource, but also government can utilize that money to finance the deficit in the budget, the fiscal deficit. So which means the earlier if money came into the central bank, the resource, we could have used only to finance imports if we want or build up our resource. But this time that money came into central bank, will also in the future come into central bank. In fact, it's coming to government. Government can sell this foreign exchange to central bank, take rupees, and government can use that rupees to finance their day-to-day activities. So, do meet their service payments instead of raising domestic debt. They can use this money to service debts.
How did this come about? Is it because you negotiated it that way? Because, as you say, normally it's only for balance of payments.
Yeah, this is an extra facility we negotiated. That we actually highlighted that this time we need money for both. It's usually under exceptional circumstances that they would extend that facility all the way through to the government to the budget. So it's not all the time.
But at least you and your team understood that.
Of course, we knew that.
And is there an interest component for the IMF?
There is, but those are kind of a concessional interest. For example, this is SDR interest rates. Now current market SDR rates are around, I think, 3 to 4%. Compared to, for example, if we all know these days, government raising through treasury bill issuances weekly basis of 120 billion, 150 billion weekly sometimes at 30%, 20 years now it's coming down. Now it's right latest it's about 25%. So instead of raising money from domestic markets in rupees at 25%, government now can use this money. Instead of raising that money, government can use this money to meet the service payments so that they can save a significant amount of interest payments and also longer repayment. It's not 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. This is 4 or 5 years, the longest debt service payment. So that it is a significant relief on one hand for the government. On the other hand, so basically because government now need to borrow less from the domestic market, the domestic resources would be available for other private sector people to borrow, and also that will help bring down the interest rates even in the domestic market.
And apart from the interest rate, is there any other charges like a service charge or anything like that?
There are few things called commitment charges. So I think there is about 0.5% like commitment charge. Effective rates would be close to 4% per annum.
But both these, the interest rate and this commitment charge and so on, overall is a better scenario than you having to go.
Of course, I mean that's why I said the cost. You look at the cost of fundraising compared to 4% in SDR versus 25, 26% or even longer for longer maturities higher for the government. There's a huge saving for the government and benefit to the private sector because there's more money available for the private sector.
And now comes now that you've done the hard work, there is now the harder work to do, which is of course the rescheduling of our ISBs, our debt. What's the plan?
Now, if you can remember, we already started that process. They started sharing information with the creditors. We got specific and credible financing assurances from official creditors first. That part now we are complete, which means now official creditors have given us the assurance that they will support Sri Lanka for us to restore our debt sustainability over a 10-year period based on the targets set out by the IMF under their debt sustainability analysis.
So those are the ground rules.
Those are the ground rules. So now it's a continuous process. Now we will continue to engage and negotiate with them to complete the debt restructuring process as soon as possible, so that we will come to final stage of that process, so that going forward, instead of, if we did not have this process, we had at least $60 billion per year, several years of debt service payments going forward if we did not restructure. But now this is why we need to restructure, That's why we need to we need a relief from our creditors, both official and commercial, bring down the annual discharge payment from about 6 billion to much lower level so that we can afford to pay for next 5 to 10 years. This is what we are hoping from the creditors. We are in that process. Then once we complete that negotiation, complete the debt exchange, debt restructuring from hopefully in the near term, then we will start servicing. We commence servicing their debt on a longer term basis at a lower rate.
And thank you, Governor NandalalWeerasinghe. And on that note, let's go for a quick break, take a peek at this evening's headline news, and we'll be right back with the Governor of Sri Lanka's Central Bank, Dr NandallalWeerasinghe, and we're currently speaking about rescheduling foreign debt. See you on the other side.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
Hands-off judges. Lawyers engage in silent protest.
මේක රුජුවම අධිකරණයට අතපෙවීමක්.
නිකන් හිතන්න පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ වරප්‍රසාද කමිටුවේ සභාපතිත්වය දරන අයට පුළුවන් ද ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණයේ සියා මහේස්ත්‍රාත් අධිකරණයේ තීන්දුවක් සම්බන්ධව මතයක් ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න. O level සහතිකයක් නැති අය ඉන්නේ.
Opposition MPs complain to the Speaker that failure to release funds for the election from the budget is a violation of privileges. Prime Minister to discuss local government poll with Election Commission. Professionals threaten to intensify their trade union action if promises are not fulfilled. India's Rahul Gandhi loses parliament seat after conviction.
23% for 2 months, 25% for 4 months. Valuable FD.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And welcome back to Newsline Live. I'm in conversation with the Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr NandallalWeerasinghe, and I'm about to ask him about the rescheduling of our international sovereign bonds. Now, in this rescheduling, you probably can't tell me, but I'll ask you anyway. These bonds are trading at various discounts at the moment of its face value. What's the scenario? Are you looking at, a number, or
it's in fact too early to discuss that, because we are in the process of engaging with the private creditors.
Right.
That's ISVs are held by private international creditors on commercial basis. So our advisors, both Lazard and Clifford Chance, are discussing, negotiating with other part of their advisors and sharing information and looking at scenarios. That process is still going on. We are not come to a situation that obviously in the near future we will announce our debt restructuring strategy. That will clear a lot of uncertainties in the market on the external debt restructuring. Once that clears, when that is clear, then obviously there will be a lot more stability in both the interest rate markets and the exchange market, and the more clarity going forward where we are heading, what kind of relief we are going to get. We will clear that soon. We are hoping to clear that as soon as possible, most probably next month.
And generally speaking, across the board, you will give all the lenders an equitable treatment, same.
Yeah, this is an important principle that we have already promised and assured, that we will treat every creditor, both official, bilateral, on an open, comparable and transparent manner, and we share information on equal basis and equity basis. So that is the principle that we have assured to everyone, that everyone will be treated on very comparable basis. So that's a fair process.
And Governor, are you able to tell me what will over the next 3 years, what sort of loans do you expect from the ADB and the World Bank, for example?
So total package that we are looking at from ADB, World Bank and IMF together is about over $7 billion within this program period.
Right.
That is additional financing that we expect from all these sources on a very concessional basis. That's the important part, as I said. Especially World Bank ADB loans would be coming with a repayment period of say 20, 30, 40 years,
right,
with interest rates almost 0 to 1%. and those are very conservative basis. Those loans will not have any impact on the debt sustainability of this country. That is important. That's the one relief. Other one is that for our debt obligations that we had to pay without restructuring, then that there also we would expect significant reduction in our obligations on a more relief basis going forward. That will also give us more space, breathing space for us to recover the economy without any foreign exchange constraint, for us to be able to operate smoothly and recover the economy in next 3-4 years.
And will this money be for project financing only, or can it be for consumption?
No, this is, as I mentioned earlier, this 7 billion coming directly to the government to finance the budget deficit, for basically fill the difference between revenue and expenditure of the government in the budget. That's why it's an important support. Basically, that's why government has committed to convert this primary deficit into a surplus in the next couple of years. Even primary surplus, there still will be a budget deficit. They have to borrow even from local domestic market or somewhere to fill that gap. But this money will help fill that gap at a very low interest rates and without having an impact on the debt sustainability. So that's why it's important. This is those are not project loans. Over and above, some of the projects those are suspended due to debt suspension will now can commence. For example, from Japan and some other countries, project those are suspended because of our non-payment or suspension in debt. Those can be also commenced after restructuring. So those are additional financing. Those will be coming for project financing. This is cash coming into government as program financing.
And can these funds, ostensibly, be used for politically visible projects, or some people call them fancy projects? In short, commercially unviable projects, if they wanted to. Could they use that?
No, that basically, I think when you look at that's the question for the parliament and the fiscal policy. So when they announce the budget, for example, 2023 budget, that has been approved by the parliament, you can see clearly the total expenditure, for example, 19% of GDP, how much would they spend on health, how much would they spend on education, how much would be on the capital expenditure, how much for salaries, wages, all these things. So they can spend money in all these areas, but that has to be approved by the parliament and allocated by their allocations, and as in the interest or expenditure will have to be on the basis of those within the approved borrowing limit. So, I mean, it's difficult to say whether this would be spent depending on the requirement. For example, this month of April, government will have to pay salary in advance, pension in advance in early April. Then they can use some of the money to pay that money in advance. I think President mentioned that yesterday also.
And so, in all of this, we hope that everybody is keeping foremost in their head the goals set for us by the IMF.
Exactly, that is the commitment. This is
and we must keep to that.
Exactly. I mean, if we deviate from that path, obviously that's going to be a disaster. So this is the program that as a country, we have presented to the IMF, and we asked them to support us. So this is our program, and they are financing and supporting and endorsing, saying that this is the right program. So that's how it works.
And the current economy, Sri Lanka's economy has shrunk basically, and the people finding it extremely difficult to buy. I have the question here for dal, tin fish, milk powder, mainly due to the dollar rate. We saw the rate come down, and then we saw it go up again. Why was that fluctuation, Governor?
No, this is reason is that if you can remember, there was about 2-3 years the central bank fixed the rate at a certain 203 level. And then there was no foreign exchange market active during that period. It was fixed at 203. Central bank provided the liquidity into the market. There were no market transactions. There was no foreign exchange liquidity in the banking market. So market was completely dull. There was no active market within the banking system for a long period. So what happened basically in last couple of months, starting from January, we gradually saw foreign exchange availability within the interbank market improving, with the Hawal Hundial system. So basically, we killed that market and improved liquidity in the banking system. As a result, we stopped giving from reserves to finance all this petrol, diesel, all these things. And CPC, CB were able to finance from the banking system. There are a lot of foreign exchange available in the market. Then we relaxed some of the restriction that we had early March with more foreign exchange available in the market. And that when we relax those restrictions, then market basically appreciated because and also this is even before IMF money came in.
Yeah.
It's about 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
That happened. And this is the trigger point that basically they encourage people who were keeping foreign exchange without converting, keeping their bank accounts, keeping, say, at homes, started to bring that money into the market. And there's a pressure for the currency to appreciate. There are a lot of supply came into the market all of a sudden. Then we intervene and build up our position and as well as the currency appreciated to a certain extent. So what we want to bring back to the market is that the exchange rate will have to be market determined, market based on demand and supply. Because market did not use this kind of system. Now this is why this bit of volatility now going up and down from day-to-day basis. But what we hope, when a lot more foreign exchange, liquidity, a lot more supply and demand, a lot more market activation is happening, then we would hope that would be settled with less volatility going forward. This will be determined to demand and supply, and then this will be stabilized going forward within the market without having a significant intervention on the central bank. This should be the way that exchange rate should be determined in a developed market. This is what we want to take this market to that level going forward.
And I know we have so many questions to ask you, but we run out of time, obviously. I wanted to ask you about the independence of the central bank as well, but we've only got 3 minutes. So perhaps I can ask you this question, though. I know that you've shut down the open account system, and so you've managed to control the Undial system as well. We need to acknowledge all that. But there's one thing that there's a lot of speculation on social media. Do you, Dr. NandalalWeerasinghe, Governor of the Central Bank, do you work for the IMF or do you work for the Central Bank of Sri Lanka?
So that's a good question for us. A lot of people think that, because I worked for about a 3-year period at the IMF at the top level at the executive board. To me, this is the advantage, even for myself and the Mahinda Sirivardhana Secretary of Treasury. This is a process of negotiation between Sri Lanka and the IMF. When you are negotiating with some other party, when you know the thinking of the other party, so we should negotiate. If I know your thinking, then I would be the winner. It would be easier for me to win the game if I know your strategy. That is the advantage for me. Being inside of the IMF for some time, I know better than anyone else how it works, what their strategies, how it works within your system. And I know much better than anyone else how we work here. So I am in a better position to negotiate a program and win the program on our terms and conditions. This is the benefit for the country with anyone's experience playing in the other side. That's a positive to me.
And so basically, ladies and gentlemen, if we were to use tennis parlance, advantage Sri Lanka, advantage NandalalWeerasinghe to the betterment of Sri Lanka.
Thank you very much.
Governor NandalalWeerasinghe, thank you ever so much for being on Newsline Live. On behalf of our network and of our viewers, our country, thank you for doing such a grand job.
Thank you for us.
And for being the independent central banker that you are. Thank you. And that's the way it was, ladies and gentlemen. And it's now time for that other nice program, the Primetime News. Take care, have a great evening, and as always, God bless you all.